This episode of the Buffalonian Podcast is brought to you by the CastSource Podcast Network, a podcast network built with and for entrepreneurs. We cover many genres, including sports, business, mental health, marketing, and entertainment. We feature the podcast shows such as Sports Bring People Together, Limitless, Saviors of the Metaverse, and The Athletic Mindset. Learn more at castsource.com/podcast. And without further ado, let's get into the Buffalonian Podcast. It is DEFCON 5 for the Bills. Stefon Diggs is leaving the Buffalo Bills, according to most fans. In the Sabres, goalies cannot take the reins and just let it rip. Along with hot takes, trivia, and more, this is the Buffalonian Podcast. All right, let's go. We are back with the Buffalonian Podcast. I'm Joe Callie, and as always, I'm joined by Dom Loss and Mike Marino. And fellas, you heard it in the intro there. It's red alert. The nukes are coming. Everyone get down. We're not gonna know what to do with ourselves. Stefon Diggs is leaving the Bills. Not. Oh my God. We're gonna talk about that a little bit here on today's episode, but just the offseason diva he is. He does it every year. Everyone falls for it. That's why he does it every year. So, but first, we have some talking points. So last pod, we talked about who we would be comfortable with the Bills taking at pick 27 in the draft, right? Or the pod before. I don't know. We chatted about it at some point. Dom, if you do you remember which one it was?
Last pod we talked about positions we'd be okay with them taking, and we all, I think, unanimously agreed that kicker was the number one option.
Absolutely. Yep. Tyler Bass is out, so yeah, kicker number one option. Mike, you remember we chatted about that?
I'd have to say punter. Sorry, I'm gonna disagree. Come on, guys.
I think long snapper might be
Been there, done that with the punter.
I had to trade up for one of those guys, so they must be gone by the time the Bills.
Yeah,
you're right.
Unfortunately, but we forgot to talk about a fantastic position. One of my personal favorite positions, tight end. Taking a tight end at 27. Dom, if you want to elaborate on Baby Gronk, go ahead. It's all you, buddy.
Yeah, I think it's an interesting conversation. I think the immediate answer is directly no, because they just paid Dawson Knox top 5 money, and they don't run double tight ends that much. I mean, we've seen time and time again where the tight end 2 in this offense is not very good.
Yeah.
Even when Dable was here, I mean, Tyler Kroft had that one game against the Rams where he caught 2 touchdowns. The tight end position has never been a position where Josh really looks for, I think, either. So I think it's interesting because you already have a top 5 tight end in terms of money paid, pretty much. He's still an above average tight end. I mean, I think it's an interesting thought process, but it would be interesting if Dawson Knox was going into his final year of his contract. I don't know how appealing it is after he just signed. I think it's a 4 or 5. I can't remember if it's 4 or 5 years, but an extension just last offseason.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I mean, I agree with you. Again, we all unanimously agreed kicker, minus Mike. Actually, he went punter. So it's not our personal pick for the first round, but I'm all for it. I'm not necessarily all for it, but like you said, if Dawson Knox is coming down to the wire, it makes sense, but not after we paid him top tight end money to barely play receiving tight end. He was only used to block because our offensive line is a slice of Swiss cheese. So I think if different circumstances, I'd be okay with it. Lower in the draft, I don't think I would mind it. Just another receiving threat at tight end if available. You know what I mean? That kind of a thing. But what do you think, Mike?
No, I agree. There's no need to do it because, we don't run 2 tight end sets all that much. Plus, it's not like tight end's ever been a focal point of this offense. And, I know we talked about on older pods, how they could implement the tight end more, maybe use him more as a slot receiver type thing, get him involved. Cause you're paying him all this money and you really don't even use them all that much. So it really wouldn't be the best decision to take a tight end 27. But like, yeah, if you take one like mid-late round to add depth, because I don't really know who's still under contract after this year. Probably Quentin Morris. I don't know if Tommy Sweeney still has a contract or not. But
I would assume not. Tommy, I don't think Tommy.
I think he's a free agent. I think
yeah. So like, I mean, you could add depth to the position, but like, you're not bringing in anyone to compete with Dawson Knox for the starting job.
Yeah. No, absolutely.
It is one of the better tight ends class in recent memory. Everyone's talking about like that Darnell Washington's a freak from Georgia. He had a monster combine, so that was good for the Bills from the perspective. He's probably going to be drafted ahead of 27. So again, that's another player that maybe the Bills wouldn't have drafted, is now probably going to be drafted ahead of them. So then it puts everyone's like the draft order back one.
Yeah.
Myers, obviously, I mean, I'm being a Notre Dame fan. He's just like a two-way freak. I mean, he's a great blocker, and he's not the most athletic tight end in the world, but he's like Zach Ertz, where he's just kind of always open. You don't really know how sometimes, but like against anyone, he's kind of unguardable. For me, like if I agree, I think tight end would be an interesting position to target, maybe like late day 2 pick, because there's going to be a lot of talent to draft. And like if they pick 27, it would be different if they had like a reputation of using their tight ends well, and like they showed that they'd be interested in doing double tight end action. Because I think having a double tight end action would be like, if they had like Meyer and Knox, would be pretty sick. But like they haven't shown any of us that ability. So like if they actually made it like this pick, like I don't know how you could grade it like above like a C, because like how would you know they're going to use them? You know, they struggled so much last year using their weapons properly. How would you know they're going to use double tight ends properly? Like I don't know. I think that would be my fear, is that there's no there's no evidence or data to back up the fact that they're going to use, if they pick a tight end at 27 correctly. Now, Grant, is they going to pick a tight end in the second or third round correctly? Like, I don't know either, but at that point, maybe the talent and like the position really doesn't matter at that point.
No, absolutely. I agree with you. I mean, it's definitely interesting, right? I mean, as we're nearing the draft, talking about these, possible ways the Bills could go, it's what's the only thing exciting in the sport of football right now, minus the XFL, if you're into that. I mean, it's pretty cool.
Well, or the Lamar saga.
Yeah. But is that the best to take right away? No, I agree with you guys. Let's just maybe grab one day 2. It'll be interesting to see the depth, I think, of the Bills draft this year with Brandon Beane. He's been known to draft pretty well for the Bills and whatnot, as we've seen. But just like who they target, I think, is the question. Because people are saying, like I mentioned last week, Bijan Robinson first round. No, please no. Like, we're gonna trade for Derrick Henry. We'll talk about that. But speaking of change, so Leslie Frazier decides to take the season on his couch, right? He's taking a season off. He said he's returning to coaching, but not specifically to the Bills. So he might not be back. But McDermott is likely to call the plays on defense, and I'm okay with that. I think deep down, I don't know how you guys feel about it, but I remember I think we talked about this last pod too. A couple games ago, or a couple years ago, when him and Frazier were first really starting their tandem, Frazier was just fumbling the bag. Like, the defense was not performing. And McDermott like took it straight from him and ran it. And we had a pretty solid defense for the rest of the game. And it was just, I think McDermott's a little more aggressive personally on defense than Frazier was. So I think that's something we're looking for, that defensive edge. But what do you guys think about Sean McDermott running this defense coming up on this season?
No, I mean, I think it's fine. Like, I'm not overly concerned about it. The only thing that kind of like worries me is now, not that Sean McDermott had a huge hand in the offense, but now you're really relying on Ken Dorsey to have complete control of the offense. And I mean, granted, it was his first year as a coordinator, so you're going to learn. There's going to be some growing pains, but do you trust him enough to have complete control because McDermott, you can't be calling plays for defense and worrying about like fixing the offense and all that too. Like that's way too much responsibility for him. So I think it was smart that we have Hull come in now because he's like a senior assistant or whatever he is. So like he'll be of assistance and like helping develop the defense. And if he needs to step in and call plays, I feel like he can. But I think I'm not opposed to the decision because I think McDermott would be fine at calling plays. I think from how I see it is that you're now putting a lot of faith in Ken Dorsey to be dialed in every game.
Yeah, definitely would have to be concerned with his overall coaching on game day and throughout the week. As you said with the offense, he made such strides the last couple of years. Calling timeouts, when to go for it, when not to go for it. You got to wonder if does that get impacted because he can't, fully put his mind to that. I don't know. I think that's where we saw Holcomb. I guess I would doubt they hire even a title DC. I guess Holcomb was the title DC with that assistant title, so he's probably going to be the one that like helps like make in-game adjustments and coaches up the defense, kind of what Frazier would do on the sidelines, because McDermott obviously just can't like be in every huddle because he's got to focus on the offense or the special teams, whatever is going on really on the field. So I think that's where the addition of Holcomb is big, is that he's going to be able to do kind of that part of the DC role where McDermott can focus on just like calling plays and being a standard head coach. I mean, it's interesting. I mean, again, he's probably a little bit more aggressive, but at the end of the day, like, this is still Sean. I don't think we're going to see that much change. I mean, maybe we see some, with a new state, maybe we see some new wrinkles to disguise coverage better. Maybe we see some new blitz packages, but other than that, like, it's mostly going to be same old. I mean, this has been a top defense the last couple of years. It's just like, is Sean McDermott the right play caller come playoff time? Because Leslie Frazier, unfortunately, was not.
Mm-hmm.
Even though how great Leslie Frazier was the other 15 plus games of the year, like, he always had a couple games the regular season he wasn't too good, and he had always in the playoffs seemed to come short. So
yeah, the divisional round was his kryptonite for most of it. He made it to one AFC championship, and we got stomped by the Kansas City Chiefs. So yeah, I think that's going to be the Ken Dorsey thing. I think, to Mike's point, is this not scariest thing, but that's like the thing lingering in the back of your mind, that little worm back there saying, hey, our second year OC is going to be doing this, pretty much on his own, which I think he did already, this season. I don't know how much of a hand McDermott truly did have, but now it's, as they would say it, no, I'm not going to say that. I was going to say balls to the wall, but I ended up saying it anyway.
Right,
so
you said it anyway.
It doesn't even matter. So I think it's just kind of a, Dorsey will have it in full flack, just, not really able to fall on anyone. But then again, that didn't happen this year. So now moving on, Stephon Diggs. Okay, we talked about this. I mentioned this in the intro. This is the Twitter warriors of the offseason have come out to play. The Instagram warriors have come out to play. The social media warriors have come out to play. All right. Like, oh my gosh, he unfollowed the Bills and he's following the Cowboys. His brother plays for the Cowboys. Like, take a second. And it's just, I don't know. People get too worried. Like, Don, we talked about this off pod last night. It'd be too detrimental for the Bills to trade him just money wise. Like, we would be completely screwed if that were, if that ended up happening. I mean, if you want to speak to that a little bit, just like what would happen if we let him go.
Well, they just have like a massive dead cap because of all the money they've already invested in them.
Yeah,
they're able to spread that money throughout the last how many years left he has? That was like 6 or 7 years left.
Yeah, 6 years, I think. Yeah.
So it's just one of those situations where it's never going to happen because it would hurt the Bills so much more than it would help. Like you think like maybe in the short term, like losing a player like that would be terrible. The short term money would be terrible. Like you just be punting on the season at that point. And like, what would that do for the locker room, team captain, all that jazz? Like, I think again, at this point, like, I feel like, yeah, as a fan, I think it's frustrating. I think it's I would say annoying and maybe a little bit childish. on Diggs' end, but at the same time, that's kind of who he is. And I think the sooner everyone kind of just accepts that he's just going to be a smoke thrower, like, you gotta kind of move on from it and just take the smoke as it is. I mean, there's no way the Bills will trade him this offseason.
No.
And
No.
listen, is he happy about what happened at the end of the year? No, nor is anyone else. So, like, I guess it's good to have some, motivation, some,
Fire
mentality. But at the same time, like, would it be nice for him to maybe rein himself in just a tad? Sure. But Diggs is a very emotional guy, and that's kind of his personality. So you just kind of have to understand that. I feel like every number one receiver has a little bit of that in them, and you just kind of have to, when you see it, just acknowledge that what's happening and not overblow it like certain people did the other day, saying that they should look to trade him.
Yeah, look to trade.
Yeah, I don't know.
So bad.
I think, like, you look how he got out of Minnesota, like, it was kind of like that he was like labeled a diva and all that. So, like, I think we knew kind of what we were getting ourselves into when we acquired him. Like, we knew him coming here wasn't just going to get rid of all that. I think he just kind of is frustrated with how the season went, how they didn't really show up in the playoff game. And now it's been 3 years he's been here. In 3 years, they've had a shot to make the Super Bowl. In 3 years, they've come up short. And, he came here to win. Like,
and I think we lost.
You have that franchise quarterback. You have this team that's okay. Yeah. Sorry, internet's always poor on my end.
No, it's all good. I think we get the gist of what you're saying.
But I'll cut it quick here. Like, he just wants to win, and they've come up short every year. And plus, he wasn't getting the looks at the end of the year he did at the start. So it's just frustrating on his end for not getting the looks and coming up short overall.
Yeah. And I think that's just the biggest thing at the end of the day. Like, these guys are competitors. That's their livelihood. That's what they're being paid to be. And Diggs is a top tier competitor. I mean, he's got that spirit to him. He's got the ego for a competitor and whatnot. Like, he wants the ball when he wants it, like that kind of a thing. Like, and to not have a game in the divisional round, pretty much to barely be targeted because everything was just failing on all cylinders. It's like, I think we'd all be frustrated in that sense. You know what I mean? And especially, 13 seconds, the classic picture of him in the AFC Championship doing this, looking at the Chiefs ceremony. Like, there have been multiple things that could set a normal person over the edge. And I feel like we're not over the edge yet with him necessarily, but yes, there is some base frustration there, and that's to be expected because same old Bills. It's always the same with the Bills.
Well, yeah, I think it's just he's end of the day, he's the competitor. The way they've lost the last 3 years have been frustrating, but I think 31 of the 32 teams have a frustrating loss at the end of the year.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, so I guess if you miss the playoffs, you could potentially win the last week of the year, but the point still stands. Like, 31 of the 32 teams, are frustrated by the end of the season how the season played out, and he said it best that they weren't them at the end of the season. Like, it just felt like the vibes were off. And listen, rookie OC Josh being banged up, like, the second half of the season did not go everything they went through off the field. The season just didn't turn out to be what it was, built up to be. So
yeah,
I think it's frustrating from a perspective of this is a guy on the edge of 30. How many more years does he have left of that elite, talent level? I think from his perspective, you got to think like he thought he was going to be able to make first team all pro by the way he was playing in the beginning of the year. And then all of a sudden, like, his numbers kind of dip, and all of a sudden he's second team all pro, and Devontae Adams passed him up for first team. Like, I think that has to be, annoying for someone as competitive as Diggs. So there's nothing really the Bills could do other than win, to be honest. And they've done a lot of that. It's just time to now, get a run together in the postseason.
Yeah. And that, I think, honestly, like, if we get some pieces, it's going to be interesting. I think we're right there. We know we're on the cusp, and our quarterback's elbow hopefully will not be hindered. Like, apparently it still was at the end of the season.
To quote
And
Lady Gaga, we're on the edge of glory.
we're on the it's fantastic. Lady Gaga. Oh my god. But do you remember when she skydove at the Super
Clip
Bowl
it.
and like
Clip it.
clip it. You remember when she skydove at the Super Bowl?
I wrote that down.
Crawled down.
2025.
It's going on the TikTok. If any of you want to follow the TikTok, go ahead. You'll see this. You'll see this coming back around.
I almost didn't say it, and I was like, man, I'm just gonna inject and say it. Why not?
Full send.
No. You start yelling feed.
9 a.m.
It's the
full
same
send.
thing. Full send. Everything. But speaking of trades, free agency, all that good stuff. There were some franchise tags given out, but none by the Buffalo Bills, where some people thought it would be by or to Edmonds or Poyer, and no news, no trade, no anything, no franchise tag. I mean, Danny Dimes is getting $40 million a year. I mean, that's absolutely insane. But I think it's just, yeah. Who else? Who else got
Bills
Lamar
assistant
Jackson
manager.
got franchise tag?
He got
Saquon.
he got like non-exclusive franchise tag, so like people could still offer him.
Gotcha.
It's like an RFA offer sheet ability in NHL.
I gotcha. Yeah, and then Josh Jacobs got franchise tagged.
Saquon. I just don't.
Pollard.
If we're just gonna very quickly sidetrack, I don't understand why the Giants have just done the Daniel Jones contract and then
franchise tag Barkley
when they could literally just be paying Lamar that money. Like, why would they do that? I digress. I just think that was stupid. But.
No, I mean they got Daniel Dimes. They've got Danny Dimes for like 4 years now with that money, and that to me is just unreal. Giants fans are not happy. If you go on Giants TikTok, Twitter, they're not really feeling this move compared to how it would have been.
It's another year and it's another contract that just makes Josh Allen's $43 million look pretty nice right now.
Yeah,
especially when we're about to see. I mean, we gotta assume Lamar's contract is gonna come up eventually. Like I feel like time, and then we also have Burrow and Herbert. Probably, I don't think Tua's gonna get a deal because of his durability, but like those guys are probably gonna get north of 50. I would assume maybe. So like again, the deal is giving.
Well, yeah, I mean, and you got to think when we take state income tax out, he's only getting about $22 million a year, so it looks even better when you think about it. After taxes and whatnot, But that's something I don't know. It's just seeing all these guys get tagged. Josh Jacobs the running backs are just getting absolutely screwed by franchise tags. I mean, it's like because no one re-sign them. Like I just don't understand.
I wonder what that's gonna do with Devin Singletary's market.
Yeah.
Probably help him out.
Yeah. That's a good point, actually. Very good point, because the King might be coming to the Bills, but we'll throw that in after we talk about the combine a little bit. But what are your general thoughts on the combine so far? I mean, or do you believe the Richardson hype? Like what's going on here? I mean, it's been pretty interesting to watch. I've only tuned into a little bit. I see most of it on TikTok and social media and whatnot. But what are your general thoughts about the combine so far?
Yeah, I mean, it ended Sunday. Again, they're probably going to I don't know if it's still going to be in Indianapolis next year, the previous. It's one of those years where the deal's almost up, but it's a good spot for it to be at.
Yeah.
And all that. But, yeah, I mean, I feel like every year, like, you finish the combine and then just a bunch of random, like, the rumor mill just, like, kicks up like a notch for a couple of days. Like, all this stuff that Rich Eisen was saying about Brady to the Dolphins, and then Brady kind of like debunking it. It seems like it's either going to be Aaron Rodgers either goes to Green Bay, retires, or goes to the Jets. Like, we'll see with that. I mean, I think that one's pretty legit, but like, I don't know. Like the fact that everyone's saying it's Bryce Young and CJ Stroud as 1 and 2, and then Richardson was the big riser. I truly will say Bryce Young being 5 that tight is insane. I know Kyler Murray was that, but Kyler Murray had a way better arm, and Kyler Murray was also like built. Like he was like built out. Like Bryce Young that was all like that 204 pounds was the definition of water weight. Like that was up all night just chugging gallons of water.
Mhm.
Like he must have felt
Taking
like
fluid retention pills, just
he
holding
must have
on.
like 3 IVs in. Like he must have felt like he was like a hot air balloon at that point, like just about to fly away. But no, dude, like I like Bryce Young as a player, but like as a prospect, like I don't know. I feel like if I was drafting, I probably would take Richardson 1, but I mean that's just but that's like the biggest risk. I guess I'm more of a risk taker than that. Like that, but I mean Stroud had the best performance on the field. I think Anthony Richardson though won the combine.
Yeah, I mean, I was only watching to see Stetson Bennett. I'm gonna be honest with you. The big old man about Josh Allen's age in the NFL Combine, like absolutely, that's crazy to me. I still think it's unreal, but no, I thought it was very interesting to watch. I do like it in Indianapolis. I think it is a good neutral location. I feel like, and seeing some of these records get broken in the quarterback category. Higher vertical than OBJ's record for wide receiver or something like that. I saw like that to me is for a quarterback. I mean, you're looking at peak Lamar Jackson. Like that's Lamar Jackson up a level right there, and how fast he was in that deep bomb. Like I can't even believe that. Like that was unreal.
Everyone talks about Anthony Richardson has Josh Allen tools. I'm just gonna say it right now. Josh Allen ain't running a 4.4 in the 40.
No.
I mean, that dude has Josh Allen tools plus. So
exactly.
I guess that's the reason why. I mean, that's the big reason why he is such a big draw, even though he struggled in college. Is that if you're in the right system, like that man's gonna go off.
Yeah, I think that's the comparison to Josh Allen coming into the league with a 59% completion percentage, and then look at him now. I mean, one of the best quarterbacks in the league as of right now. So I think anyone has those hopes and dreams. It might be the Tennessee Titans. We don't know. So speaking of the Tennessee Titans, the king, Derrick Henry, is heavily. The Bills are plus 300, have the highest odds of landing Derrick Henry. It's the most probable landing spot. Also for Leonard Fournette, apparently, which I would be very upset at if that actually happened. If we pass up Derrick Henry for Leonard Fournette, the front office needs to be completely cleared out. But
oh geez,
I personally like this move a lot. If we go for Derrick Henry, because it's just
28 minutes.
There we go. We're at it more
28-0, quote unquote.
The front office needs to be cleared out.
G's.
Oh man. No, I think Derrick Henry would be a big addition to this offense because we do have pass catching running backs, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then now we would have a huge power back. I understand he's older, right? The dude's built like a linebacker though and can run faster.
Bigger than Vaughn.
He can run faster than a bus in a school zone. I mean, let's just be honest here. All right. Like this guy, I think it would be an awesome grab for the Bills. So I don't know what your guys' thoughts are on this, but Bills are plus 300, highest odds in the NFL to land them. So,
I mean, I would definitely be for it because then it shows. Well, if you get Derrick Henry, though, I think it shows that you're willing to commit more to the run than you have been. And we've seen in recent history, the Bills have never really had a true power back.
No.
Like the last time they used anyone that was remotely a power back, and what I can think of is like Mike Tolbert.
Tolbert. Yeah,
Tolbert. He was a fullback.
I was going to say Boobie Dixon, but that was a good pull.
But like,
Tolbert. Oh, I remember him.
Yeah, so like, Derrick Henry, he's someone that's gonna just run right through you, and like it's hard to bring him down. Like we've seen how dominant he can be. We saw how dominant he was against the Bills a few years ago. Like he is a game changer, and yeah, he's 29 years old. He's kind of past. I would say probably past his prime. Not past his prime, but like he's going to be on the downslide. But he signed for I think 3 more years, and I think 1 year.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Oh, well, okay. Then I don't know where I saw 3 years. I guess I'm just.
I think
that like 1 year, 11 million or something like that.
The thought process is that you would trade for him and extend him, and then you lower his cap hit through doing that.
Yeah, but anyway, I would definitely bring him in because it would be the first time since we've had Shady that we've had an elite running back, and not 2018 shady. He was bad 2018. But I think it'd be a nice compliment because you have him who can just be a power back, and then you have James Cook who can be in a receiving elusive back, and then you still have Nyheim Hines who's more of a smaller back. Like it seems like throughout the Bills' past decade, we've always had these smaller, more elusive backs, and I feel like the thing we've been lacking.
The big guy.
Exactly, we need someone like Derrick Henry's like Josh Allen size. Like, why wouldn't you want him to take these runs and these hits rather than your quarterback? Because that just keeps Josh Allen healthier now. Like, I'm not saying Allen's not a threat anymore running, but it keeps him healthier because, you know, it's been proven that last year he was banged up and we struggled. So we got to keep him as healthy as possible.
Yeah.
Well, I'll say this. As being on the board of the James Cook Stan Club, I'm so out on this move.
Really?
I don't think that's listen, I understand from the perspective of it's probably low draft capital because the Titans are idiots and they signed Ryan Tannehill to that huge contract extension. So they had to trade AJ Brown last year, and now they're probably going to trade Derrick Henry this year. I mean, the amount of star players that have been linked to the Bills that just never happened, I feel like everyone is just instantly Bills. I mean, Saquon was before he was franchise tagged. OBJ all last year. Like
JJ Watt, that was a big one for a while.
Like I think it's cool in theory, and like it could work out because you could give him like a 5th round pick and extend him and lower his cap it so it wouldn't kill you. But like I think you already have an effective running back on your roster. It's just all about utilization, and I think that's why I'm out is because Ken Dorsey proved it's the same thing at the Titans point. Like he proved that he couldn't utilize Dawson Knox, and then last year he really proved that he couldn't utilize James Cook until the very end of the year, and even that, like they couldn't even utilize him in the passing game. Like, am I supposed to believe that he's going to be able to utilize Derrick Henry to his full stability? No,
right.
So at that point, I'm paying a 29-year-old running back who in the future is going to have a massive cap hit for me, who the last 2 years has had significant injuries, who's also had like some of the biggest workload in the entire NFL and had a huge workload while he was at Bama. So like you got to wonder, like, I mean, running backs don't age very gracefully, especially, you know, really power backs. Well, power backs could age in the fact of like they could just run forwards, but you got to wonder how shot his legs are going to be. I know he's like just built. I mean, in the phrase "built different," but
I mean, this guy is built different.
My mind is James Cook's RB1. They find a complimentary back, and I don't think Derek. I just don't think investing heavily in the running back is a smart move. The same thing with tight end. I don't think either of those are like putting massive investments down on those. I just don't think are the move, especially when you have the man, the myth, legend, Jimbo.
Yeah. No, I agree. I don't necessarily agree. Like I still would want Derrick Henry, but like I can see where you're coming from with that. But I think
so in your mind, all those players that we listed are on the Bills, though.
In my mind, yeah, absolutely.
JJ Watt.
JJ Watt didn't have a heart issue this year, and he actually stayed in the NFL. He's our number one defenseman this year. He actually received the Walter Payton Man of the Year award last year. He's really going crazy. Defensive Player of the Year, JJ Watt on the Buffalo Bills. So I think the thing with me,
2-time Walter Payton Man of the Year.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
nice.
I think the thing,
those little,
a little patch.
There's 2 of them.
Yeah. I think the thing with me is we use Nyheim Hines as the gadget receiver. Get Isaiah McKenzie just out of here. He's gone, right? Butterfingers McKenzie can't do anything this season. And we use Nyheim Hines as that gadget, which I think he'd be perfect for in the returner. And you use him on some run plays, absolutely. Then you have James Cook, who I think you're going to see a big jump from this coming season. And then, 4th and 3, you want to send Josh Allen? No, you don't. You don't want to hurt a UCL again or tear an ACL. You don't want to do that. Send big boy Derrick Henry through the line. Come on, send him through the line. That would be the way to go. I mean, come on.
Derrick Henry is the down at running back in the backfield, and you have a developing running back in James Cook. You completely would kill James Cook by trading for Derrick Henry. So
you think?
At that point, you would waste the top 55 pick or what? I can't even remember when.
You think it'd be like if Jack Eichel was still on the team and Tage Thompson wouldn't have developed? You think that would happen if Derrick Henry came and James Cook?
I don't know if it's that aspect, but it would be like if you had a stud, like if Devin Levi was playing right now for the Sabres and they went out and traded like a legit starting like goaltender, like at that point, like who are you gonna ride with? The legit starting goaltender, and then Devin Levi would only get X amount of games because of that. That's kind of what James. Yeah. If you trade for Derrick Henry, you're limiting. You're putting a cap on James Cook's carries, and they already kind of did that last year to kind of get him through the rookie wall of Singletary. Like, yeah, I think you got to worry about the sophomore slump, but for me, it's like they got to give James Cook more touches, but they just got to find a Singletary-esque player in the fact of just another guy that could carry the ball.
Leonard Fournette?
No, he sucks.
Apparently
sorry to like interrupt, but like
you're good.
Kind of getting back to the draft, like with Diggs, he has a relationship with the Maryland running back, probably like a mid-round pick.
Yeah, I mean the running back class is very good this year. Same with
and also the Maryland wide receivers. So maybe Brandon Bean is like, hey, make you a little bit happy here. Let's bring in some Maryland boys.
Yeah, did he go to Maryland or something? Like
he did go to Maryland.
I remember. What a guy. Scott.
Yeah.
Diggs.
He has a good connection with the running back. What's his name? I think his last name's like Ibrahim or something. And there's two. Yeah, and then there's two wide receivers that were like saying how Diggs has been a mentor to them. So like, maybe the Bills should take advantage of that.
Yeah, I mean it's very interesting. I think there's a lot of ways the Bills can go. I think Derrick Henry is going to be on that list with J.J. Watt and all those guys of, as much as we'd like to see them here, it's unlikely with the way the Bills go.
What a fall from the Titans, from being the 1 seed in the AFC to now being terrible.
Yeah, they're starting to rebuild, and they were the number 1 seed last year.
They did say they will wear the Oilers jerseys for 1 game next year.
It's also rumored the Bills are bringing back the red helmets for 1 game next year, I guess, or a couple games.
Positives, people. What did the Bills do with the standing Buffalo jerseys? They just
forgot about them. They only went blue on blue this year. If you noticed, there was no blue on white. It was just blue on blue.
Those were nice jerseys, though. Like, guys, sprinkle in the throwback, sprinkle in the full reds, and then if you get the red helmet back, like, come on.
Here's the question:
aesthetic sell.
Red helmet, bleh, with red jerseys. Do not do that. Do not throw all red.
No, red helmet with a blue jersey and white pants all day.
If they do it with the all reds, I'm gonna freak because that's just gonna look disgusting out on the field. I'm gonna be honest with you, but we're getting off track here. We're getting into fashion, and that's not what this podcast is about. So, I think that does it for the Bills. Right? Any other random thoughts you want to toss in?
I just want to give a shout out to that offensive lineman at the combine who did like 38 reps on 1 leg. That was pretty impressive.
Hey, he could be a sneaky late day 3 pick now because as a redshirt NFL prospect.
Yeah. Would you look at that? Things are happening. We're coming up to the draft. It's getting real. Trades are happening. Franchise tags happened. Can't anymore. But that's going to do it for this Bills talk on this episode of the Buffalonian Podcast. And we'll be right back with some Sabres. But before that, just want to bring up the Sports Bring People Together podcast. You should listen for entrepreneurial conversations with those in sports, and who knows where the chats will take you, but sports got us all here together in the first place. Find this show wherever you listen to your podcast or simply visit sportseplus.com. And now it is time. It's that time of the week for that Buffalo Sabres talk. And oh my God, that game last night against the Islanders. That was tough. That was extremely tough. Just watching it, it was so close yet so far. It felt like, I don't know. They played okay. Like it's not like they're pooping the bed. You know what I mean?
Listen, the last 2 nights they tried so hard and came so far, but in the end, it didn't even matter.
No, it did not even matter.
45-30.
Yep. We're quoting songs.
But okay, so
Lincoln
like
Park.
with the Sabres, I mean, like that was a big loss last night because an Islanders team where it was pretty much a 4-point swing where if you won, you gain 2 points on them and then they don't gain any. So now you're only 2 points back of them. But now they're at 74. You're still at 68. the Panthers won, the Penguins won. You're tied with Ottawa now, and they're ahead of us in the standings. Like the Sabres, like, yeah, we have games in hand, but like we're not winning those games in hand. And like these head-to-head matchups that really matter, like we came up short. Like I know we'll get into it, like that third goal, like if it should have been counted or not. But like I don't know, these are games that like seem like they should be winnable. Like look how we played against Tampa Bay. Like I know they're on a slide, but they're still one of the best teams in the Atlantic and in the East. And
Right.
we were able to pretty much dominate them, cause them to scratch their third line or first line for the third period. And then you have a game like Columbus that should have been an easy win, easy 2 points, and you fall on your face. So like, I think the thing is like, yeah, we have a young team and like, there's going to be some inconsistency. And then we'll get into like the lineup and all that and like who should be in and out of the lineup. I think we all agree some certain player should be out of the lineup. But it's just like finding a consistent groove to make a playoff push, because it's like you're kind of not necessarily shooting yourself in the foot, but you're not helping yourself when you have a prime opportunity with all these games in hand to make a run.
Yeah, I think it's frustrating also from just the fan perspective of the Islanders had 4 days off before this game and the Sabres had to play on a back-to-back. I just think that was kind of, that kind of ruined like the aspect of the game because you knew like one team had an obvious advantage over the other.
Yeah.
But I mean, that's kind of life, so you can't really complain about that. It's just the last 2 nights are frustrating. I mean, it's frustrating from the perspective of you lose by a goal and you don't get any points. It's not like, and I think that's kind of been the story of the season for the Sabres. I mean, what they won when they won that 8-game losing streak. I don't think they lost a single game in overtime or a shootout, or maybe one. Like they weren't even getting points during that stretch. And I think that's the tough part for the Sabres is that you look at the couple of their games that they lost throughout the season. Like if they just would have lost those in overtime, they'd be in far better position. And now it feels like they had to win like 70% of their 70% of like the remaining points they have left, and that just seems kind of, with all the injuries and stuff, that doesn't seem very doable at the proper moment, unless they go on a huge run, which obviously I think they're capable of doing, and there's a reason why their playoff chances are not 0. But I would say it's more likely than not that they don't, which is just, it's disappointing, but I don't know. It's just kind of disappointing. I think it shows the warts in games like this, moments like this when you fall short, it just shows that there's certain people who just like can't be on the roster next season if they want to be a serious team.
Yeah, I think it's just Sabres fans, all right, been through the ringer, okay? Not unlike Bills fans. I mean, the Buffalo sports fans, all right, minus Bandits fans, somehow they've won a couple championships. They've broken the curse. It's just this is what happens. You get excited, right? You get excited, and then, granted, their chances aren't 0. Okay, I'll admit to that, but a win last night would have been exponentially better in helping our chances. Exponentially better.
That's true.
And it's just, I don't know. As Dom said, try so hard, come so far, but in the end, it doesn't even matter because we're sitting on our couches in the month of March watching playoff hockey. Like it's just like I don't know. It's tough. It is because
the flaws of the roster are being shown.
Exactly. That
they
is
didn't
something...
do anything to address defensive depth.
No.
You have a guy like, Samuelson, who's a good defensive defenseman, but is starting to prove. I think, Don made this point either on the script or talking about it, but like he's proving that he can't play 82 games. Like he's gonna get banged up. There's so much weight on Dahlin's shoulders, like, and he's not even like he's really good, but his main focus isn't defense either. He's more of an offensive defenseman. You have a guy like Jacob Bryson who's, I don't know, a pylon at times and just really not good. I know there's like why didn't we do anything to address the depth. Like, same with goaltending. Like, we don't have that goalie who can stand on their head and win us games, steal us games. Like, the Islanders aren't the best team, but they do have someone like Sorokin who could easily take over a game and steal it for them. Like, we didn't do anything to address that either. It's like, yeah, we add Jordan Greenway. Like, that was a need. We needed like a power forward and all that. But at the same time, why didn't we add another defenseman where, it's definitely needed? Because like
Right.
out of our top three of Dahling, Samuelson, Power, like who else has been effective this season?
Yeah.
Like really no one. So I don't know
Lyubushkin
why
scored
they.
one goal. So I mean, and
yeah.
the goalie Luukkonen has more points than Jacob Bryson. So I mean that in itself is a pro moment. So
I would say Lyubushkin's played, for getting not playing very well the first half and really getting called out, has played pretty solid the second half of the season, and like has shown that he's at least a bottom pair right shot defenseman. So I think he's like the only one. Like Yogi Haru is just so inconsistent where it's like I don't even know what to think on him. Like
good
I
old
think
Henri.
like I feel like most of the season like he's been solid, but then you have like stretches when the top guys miss that he just gets exposed, and it's like okay, like you're just a bottom pair. Like okay, like I mean like definitely didn't hit his potential. I think the frustrating thing. And I think this is mostly fact, especially for at least in my opinion for the Edmonton game. But like I feel like if Samuelson plays, they win the Edmonton game.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I think they have a better chance of winning yesterday. I mean, they kind of got a little bit dominated, but they were on the back to back, so I'm not really that concerned about it. But I just think Mike alluded to like Samuelson. I know I drank a lot of haterade from Samuelson before he was in the NHL.
Yep.
Mhm.
I have taken the L on the fact that I think he's not only just a very good NHLer, but I think he's a top 4 D-man. But I think at this point you have to wonder if he can stay healthy a whole 82 games, as you alluded to. Like he was the guy last year that got banged up multiple times. Got sent down to Rochester for their playoff run and didn't play a single game because he got injured at the end of the year by I think an Austin Matthews wrist shot. And then this year they were like 3-10-2 without him in the beginning of the season. And yes, do I think Samuelson's individually Samuelson? I don't think is like the difference between the Sabres going 3-10-2 and whatever they are. I think that the record in itself gets outplayed for how valuable Samuelson is. It just shows how much they don't have the depth if they lose one of their top 3 guys, and how in the offseason, yeah, they had to figure out a short-term goalie. I think that might be number 1 on their list.
Yeah.
Mhm.
But I think 1A, 1B is figuring out another mid-eating top 4 defenseman. Because I'm telling you right now, it's not Ryan Johnson. Ryan Johnson, well, I think he's pro-ready. We've seen the Sabres go slow on this. He's probably going to start in the AHL, even though I think he could be a bottom pair right away. They had to find a way in either trade or free agency to find another top 4 defenseman, because Samuelson's going to miss 10 to 15 games a year, and you can't afford to have Henry Jokiharju be your number 3 defenseman when that happens. It can't happen again.
Yeah.
I mean, it's the reason why you're in this position. And then, looking at the trades, if we just go back for 2 seconds, Greenway, I think is a nice move.
Yeah.
2 more years at $3 million, a little pricey for the amount of offensive production he's had this year, but I think. I mean, Tyson Yost went from that system to this system and flourished. I think Greenway the 2 games have played pretty well. I mean, he had a nice screen on that Oposo goal. I thought he had some nice chances against Edmonton as well. So that's a cool move. The Aspen move, my king, my guy. Sad to see that man leave for just a measly 7th round pick. Again, it seems like to be a vibes trade. I just think that's just, I don't know. It's just sad that he kind of got the odd man out, even though he kind of deserved to this season because of his play, but
yeah,
sad to see the king go.
I mean, people wanted trades though, and they got their trades, so that's died down quite a bit, but I don't know. It's just
sorry to cut you off just 1 second.
Yeah.
Sorry, just my 1 point, I 100% agree with Mike on the fact that I think they should have done more at the trade deadline, with the defense and stuff. Only Riley Stillman, obviously he gets knocked out in his first game.
Yeah.
He's probably MIA for the rest of the season pretty much. But the one thing I will say is that it wasn't there was moves really other than the Chikrin deal that was all right, I don't know why the Sabres didn't the Sabres could have topped this very easily. It wasn't Nick Jensen signed an extension with Washington. Like Rasmus Sandin, who I think would be been interesting, was from the Leafs. They would probably never trade to the division rival, and he got traded for a first round pick, which the Sabres didn't have. Like have an extra first round pick, I should say. So like there wasn't like a move from that depth kind of number 4 defenseman that I was like, okay, like I don't know why the Sabres didn't like Susie or Buddy Will Borgen from Seattle. Like none of those guys went anywhere. So it's not like we saw like Raquel Gudas for a 3rd round pick and we're like, why didn't we just like throw one of our 2nd round picks at that? Like there wasn't like that, but I the sentiment still rings true in Austin. They have to improve the depth of the roster.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, we call the Bills offensive, or I call the Bills offensive line a slice of Swiss cheese. This defense is grated Parmesan. There's nothing going on there. It's just powder, right? Like it's just, I get so baffled by
the cheese references today.
Sorry, man, the inner Italian's coming out of me. It's just, it's disappointing because our offense plays very well most games, right? Yes, neutral zone. It's like you do see some muffed passes and turnovers there, right? But that high flying style of offense brings that, and we just don't have the defense to play that kind of offense at this point. You know what I'm saying? Like it's to the point where, yeah, we can throw the puck down into their end and get it around there, but God forbid they do that to us. We've got no one back there. You know, it's just unless Dahlin's out there, but you see what he's injured too. Like the past week, it was bad. Like it was scary. Like you didn't know what was going to happen. And I think it's just necessity at this point. We have the offense somewhat figured out. Leave that be. Make this offseason about defense, like short-term things and a short-term goalie solution before Devin Levi inevitably makes his appearance in a Sabres uniform in that goal.
Well,
no, I know it.
No,
I was just gonna say, it doesn't help having Alex Tuck out either.
Yeah,
and you have Jack Quinn. I'd say he has played well on the top line, but you have someone like kind of now you have a guy like Hinestro's in the lineup who's played. I would say he's played decent. He's played good. Like I'm not going to complain against him, but like he's not a guy you want to have 82 games in a season. So like I think that from that aspect, that's fine for him filling in. Like you have the forwards the way I think it's fine. It's serviceable, but at the same time, like you need to transition that to the defense. Like I would say to an extent they have it figured out in offense to where in the forward group, if someone goes out, they have someone that could fill in and it'll be fine. Defense, they don't.
Yeah, no, I would agree. And you mentioned, I mean, Trent, are you good if we move on here, or you got another
I will
point?
just briefly point out, like the only defenseman that I think you fully trust in your own zone is Dahlin because he's been elite defensively this season for the first time, and he is a great puck mover. Like power, great. It's like a little bit of like everyone has like it's like 3 guys that have like one or the other really. Like Power is an elite puck mover, but he's a rookie in his own end, kind of deer in the headlights.
Yeah,
Samuelson, good defensively, solid puck mover. Wouldn't say he's an elite. And then Labushkin, very good defensively, but not a great puck mover. And then you just get in the mix of like Bryson, Yokiharu, Clegg, like just dudes that aren't really good at either. Like they're decent at maybe moving the puck, but they're not good at all defensively. So I mean, it also comes down to the fact, I will say this. It's not all on the defenseman. Like I do think there are forwards on the team that aren't very good defensively, which you could survive, but they had to figure out a way to replace some of those guys that are purely one way, that aren't even producing 5-on-5 offense, like Olsen,
the best open net goal scorer in the NHL.
Yeah, replace him for actual defenseman. But I think we're transitioning to the Quinn point of being on the top line. Like I do think it has now opened up my thoughts on like opening Tuck up to go to Cousins or something like that, because like I feel like the top line really hasn't missed too much of a beat. I know maybe a little bit like offensively they're not as great because Tuck is a little better at this stage of his career than Quinn, but Quinn defensively, like I think that was the big fear, especially in Rochester, of like he was kind of a one-way forward and how that wouldn't really transition in the NHL. My man is playing like an elite 2-way defensive forward, and you could see it on that line because both Skinner and Thompson dip defensive zone, and like Tuck was very good like last year and being 2-way, and then this year he's kind of like kind of not done his defensive responsibility as much. Like he's kind of gone for offense, but like Quinn's been very good in his own zone. I think it helps out, Skinner and Thompson, and it frees up Alex Tuck to go help, be on Dylan Cousins' wing.
And that I'm 100% on board with. I think you keep Quinn on the top line. I'm a believer in that. I think you it's not a skill question. It's not a question of skill that Tuck's being moved down to the second line, but Tuck and Cousins actually, like, it's not like they don't have chemistry with each other. Like,
it's just helping Cousins out so that he's not like alone and all that. Like, when we, I remember we drafted Jack Quinn and it's kind of like, why did we take him? Like, that wasn't the best pick, but like I think he's developed properly. I think he's being, he started out like as a bottom six role. There were games where he was scratched and all that. Like, I think now he's kind of shown that he is pro ready. Like, obviously he's in his first year, so he's not going to be that elite top six forward that we hope he can be. Like, he was never a generational prospect or anything. We don't expect him to contribute right off the bat, but he has been contributing well. And I think a few years from now, you got to think we're going to have a problem. It'll be a good problem, but we're going to have too many top six forwards.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, but like you said, good problem to have.
They already kind of have that, the mindset problem, I would say, of like, there's too many guys that think they're top six forwards. Like,
yeah.
If they reroute some of those people's mindsets, I think they'd be solid. And I think they started to do that. I think you saw that.
I think they did that with Peyton Krebs. Like, I think a lot of people thought he could be like a top six forward, and now they kind of made him that third line, fourth line center, defensive minded center, and it's played out really good. He's played well.
Yeah, I think you saw it also. I mean, to give credit to credit too, I think you saw it with Middlestat as well. Like, I think he's kind of transitioned his game more to like a third liners kind of game. That's why he's still able to produce all those points, and they're not even cheap secondary assists anymore.
No, I mean, Middlestat's actually throwing points on the board, which is, I mean,
I'll give him credit. I started the year saying he shouldn't have even been in the lineup.
No,
and
I think we all did. I think that was
now it's very clear. No, I will fully admit that I said he should be in the press box.
But I mean, you weren't wrong at the time, and you weren't wrong for a couple months in the season. So
yeah, but
what was that graphic you pulled up, Dom? His and who else's performance compared to the rest of the team at one point? You yanked that up, and
I don't remember, but
it was like nothing. Like, it was so bad.
Yeah, it's night and day. And then I just think it's frustrating seeing. It's a little frustrating, I guess, from my perspective, of seeing Quinn have so much success and then Peterka struggling so much. I don't really know how to fix them right now. Like, I don't think sending down to Rochester is a great idea. I do think they should have paper transactioned him down so that he could go for like the playoff run. Like, not for the playoff, but like when the Sabres season ends, like maybe he could get a couple games down there to get his confidence up. I just think he's going way, way too fast. And like, I think Quinn's been very solid, Quinn's slowing down now, making individual moves. Like, I feel like Peterka right now is all speed, and he had some chances before he came out of the lineup, but on 5-on-5, I just feel like he's just speed, and he's like deer in his headlight in his own end, and he's not really producing that much offense because he's just, every time it feels like he has like a puck battle, he's kind of losing. Like, I think he definitely has a lot to improve on for next season.
Yeah. No, absolutely. I mean, it'll be interesting. It shall be interesting. I that's just where I'm at this point, because the playoff hopes aren't dashed, but they kind of are. Like, the fire's just smoldering at this point. I feel like we took a pee on it at the end of the night, and just doused it a little bit. So yeah. I don't know. What do you? It's just, I don't want to say it's doom and gloom, right? We're talking about all this good stuff.
There's still a chance. I mean, we have games in hand. Like,
yeah, right.
We just have games that we need to win, and some of these games that we should win and need to win, we just haven't. But I don't know. This is kind of what I expected. Like, we're in the conversation, and it's March now. So, like, I think that's what we all wanted. I don't think realistically any of us sat here at the beginning of the year saying we were a playoff team. So, like, I'm not going to be like, yeah, I'll be like sad if we don't make the playoffs, but it's not like,
no, it's a W at the end of the day.
Yeah, I'm not going to be up in arms because like we did improve. Like, I would say next year we have to make the playoffs, and then if we don't, something's wrong, but I think this was a year to where you develop some of your young players. Now they're going to have experience, and next year they're going to be able to translate that and be able to make a playoff push. You just got to address the depth of defense and find a goalie.
Yeah. Again, like it's just about like overall positive season. A lot more positive than negatives. It's going to be frustrating when they're most likely going to miss the playoffs again. But again, I never had a mandatory playoff.
No,
I had to make it, so I don't think anyone else did.
I didn't. I know I said they were making a run to the cup, but let's just face it, that was an exaggeration on my end. But
before we do predictions and recap, I just had to quote. I quoted Linkin Park. I quoted Lady Gaga. It's time for me now to quote Jason Bowell. They're playing competitive games in March. It's all we could ask for.
Yeah,
there we go. I mean, you're not wrong. You're not wrong.
Honestly,
that's all we want for them. Now, obviously, I gotta take it a little bit more. But okay, so they have. If we're going to do the pod again on Wednesday, they have 3 games: home against Dallas, home against the Rangers, in Toronto. Record prediction.
3-0.
Who are they playing? Toronto,
Dallas, New York Rangers, Toronto.
They're going to go 1-1-1.
Dude, why do you keep taking mine? I should go before you. I'm just going to go 2-1 just to be different.
All right.
I think 1-2 is a little too harsh for my life.
I think they light the fire and they just absolutely cook.
I said that last week.
What, you thought I was gonna say cook?
I could have like, if you stopped talking and then they did like a blank on what Joe was gonna say next, I would have put cook.
Yeah, dude. Kevin Adams.
Wait,
that picture of him in sunglasses.
Yeah, no, I'm sticking 1-1-1 because they'll beat the Rangers because they're wearing goat heads. I think they're gonna get caved by Toronto and over. Like, I just have a feeling I'm gonna be hearing Hall and Oates like every 10 seconds. And then I think we go to overtime against Dallas and something stupid will happen and they'll score.
Nice. All right. Okay, so the goals leader last week were Cousins and Skinner with 2. Cousins has goals in back-to-back games. Point leader, Skinner, Tajan, Cousins with 3. Joe went 2 for 2. So did Mike. I went 1 out of 2 because I had double Tage. So, Joe, you're up.
All right. I am going to go skin dog. I'm going skin dog on this one for the goals.
Skin dog.
Okay.
Play Whitney. And then let's go. Who's a little out there? I want to reach out on this one. Who are we thinking? Middlestat. We'll run with him one more time. He's getting points. I'm going Middlestat.
Okay. I'm gonna say I don't want to. I kind of want to go out there, but like not super out there.
It's 3 games.
Okay, I'm gonna go out there.
Oh,
for goals,
put on your Sunday clothes.
It's gonna be Tyson Jost.
Let's go. I like that.
And for points, it's gonna be Jordan Greenway.
No. Double Wild Boys.
Yep.
I'm going to take our buddy Jeffro, like Joe, and Darlene finally gets some points.
All right, I like it. Mike, in all honestly, I hope you get 2 points. I genuinely do.
You know what? Like
that would be sick. That would be sick. If
Tyson Joe scores a hat trick, maybe Jordan Greenway like just picks up a few apples. Like we'll see what happens.
All you listeners out there, you heard it here first. Tyson Joe scores his hat trick this coming week. So, any credit, anyone who says that now, that's from Mike Marino in the Buffalonian Podcast. So, I think that does it for our Sabres talk, fellas. Anything else anyone wants to throw in there?
Lawrence Pilot got sent back down.
Nice.
Could have seen that coming.
Thanks for your services, Lawrence.
Yeah. Jeez, KHL vet right there. But
yeah.
That's going to do it for our Sabres talk here. We're going to let them cook for about a week, and then we'll come back. We'll get back to you. But Dom's got the Would You Rather on the day. And
whoa.
Mike and I have had a couple good ones. I think last week we had to do one by ourselves, right, Mike?
2 weeks ago.
That was 2 weeks. No, last week was the one where it was would you like missing the event.
Oh, shoot. 2 weeks ago, it was me and you, right, Dom?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I forgot to ask you
No,
that
2
one,
weeks
Mike.
ago was you and Mike. Yeah.
Yeah, no, 2 weeks ago it was just us.
All right. Anyway, Dom's
My
got
would you
it.
rather. I'm gonna go out there. We focus a little bit on football and hockey, maybe a couple of the big four. I'm gonna do a complete random one.
Oh no.
Okay.
Your life's
Badminton.
on the line. Would you rather have to bowl a strike or hit the bullseye on a dartboard?
Bull strike. Are you kidding me?
I've actually done it. I've actually hit the bullseye on a dartboard. Okay. I'm not even kidding. An Italian exchange student ran up to me
this?
from
I'll change
Niagara
it.
University and couldn't believe it.
The bullseye on the dartboard is probably a little tough. How about this? You can't hit like just the number on the dartboard. So like you get hit one on like the double, the triple points, the 50 points, the 25 points of bullseye.
No, there's no way I could do that.
I feel
My
like
eyes are too poor to do
I'm
that.
taking the dartboard.
Oh no, I'm really bad.
I'm doing the bowling. I think you
no
give me.
warm up.
If I have
no
all
warm-up,
10 frames.
No,
If I have
you have one shot. We usually have
One
one
shot.
ball.
No,
No
I'm still sticking with bowling because I feel like with darts I'd like miss the board or something.
Literally, all you do is you put on your bowl. Like the only thing you're allowed to do is put on bowling shoes.
Can I I can go through a few different balls though. Like I can.
No, they
figure
give
out
you
the right
one ball. They just give you a ball.
They just give it to me.
Yeah.
What if I get like a 3-pounder for a child that my fingers don't even fit in? I mean, we got to be more specific than that.
Then you gotta do the no.
No. I'm still sticking with the strike.
No, I'm going with the darts because I feel like I would have more control over that situation. With bowling, if you get a bad bounce from a pin that just dodges another one, you're not knocking them over.
Have you seen the pro dart players like when they have a perfect game? It is one of the most like exhilarating experiences ever. Like it is
I
insane.
can imagine.
Because they're like, it's like they're literally right next, like all in a line, right with each other, and he's like doing. It's like, how is that even possible?
Imagine being that dialed in to perform that kind of a task.
So I had a second would you rather because I thought that one would be quick. I would also do the bowling just because.
Give that man $40 million, not Daniel Jones. Honestly.
Would you rather Super Bowl on the line? You're losing or you're winning. Would you rather have your opponent kick a 50-yard field goal for the win, or you kick the 50-yard field goal for the win? If they miss, you win. If you miss, you lose. Kind of situation.
Who's the kicker?
T-Bass?
Like who's my kicker and who's their kicker?
I guess dude,
like Matt Vinatieri. Like who are we talking about?
I'm just gonna say like if you were in Madden, they're both 80 overall kickers.
Okay,
so it could be the
all
same.
Right.
I'm not gonna give names because like I don't want bias. I don't want that person.
I'm more as a user. I'm more likely to miss than the AI because
I'm not talking Madden. I'm talking real life. I'm talking like we're literally in like I'm not talking Madden. I'm talking we're watching the Super Bowl. Your uncle has like nachos all over his shirt. Like you're praying to God that they make, or they're praying to God that they miss. Like which one? Oh
man,
I don't know why. I don't know. Right, it's kind of startling, but I don't know if I had to feel comfortable with the opponent's kicking game-winning field goal.
I think I'd rather kick the field goal.
I'd rather have the game in my hands. I feel like than put it in someone else's because
I don't want to be at the mercy of the other team.
We've
seen that.
Yeah, we've seen that with the Chiefs. We put the game in their hands and they execute it.
We've seen it both ways.
I would rather lose Scott Norwood wise than 13 seconds wise, honestly.
Yeah, I think I'd rather I'd rather lose Scott Norwood missing field goal than like Adam Vinatieri during those early Patriot years of making a game-winning field goal directly down the middle.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Actually, would you rather?
Yeah, no, that was good.
I like them.
Yeah, that was good. That was good. But now, I feel like we need like trivia music. We need like game show music to introduce Mike for this. Like it's always quiet. Like I feel like Family Feud should be playing right now in the background or Jeopardy, you know. But Mike,
okay, I can't.
Don't buy the Family Feud board game. We've tried it. Horrible. Not like the TV show at all.
Don't buy the Dead by Daylight board game because it doesn't exist.
Oh, that's a personal jab right there. Look at that. Look at that. Look at that. Bring it in.
Man's not even here to defend himself.
No.
I'm just saying.
Did he get?
I was promised a Dead by Daylight board game by Halloween, and it is now March.
And that's on Dom's triplet brother Patrick falling through
115. Anyway, we'll go into trivia here. We'll start with the Bills question. So obviously, you know, we've had some good receivers. We have Diggs, we've had Eric Moulds, Andre Reed. Throughout the Bills' history, how many times have wide receivers eclipsed 1,000 receiving yards in the season?
Just
How
like
many instances?
number of times.
Yes, they're like. Now I'm not looking for how many players. I'm looking for how many instances. So like it's gonna repeat for some players.
20.
Yeah, I'd say like 20 to 25. I'll go 25. I'll go on the high end.
24.
Oh.
So Diggs has the two highest,
Yeah, I figured that.
but yeah, no, 24 times a Bills receiver has eclipsed 1,000 yards, and I'm seeing like here Diggs, Eric Moulds, Andre Reed, Lee Evans, Peerless Price, Lewis, Dubinion, and Stevie Johnson, James Lofton, John Brown, Sammy Watkins. Forgot about that one.
Yeah. Cole Beasley
So,
almost on the list. There's almost
Briscoe.
He might.
So,
Watch him stay next season.
It would have been 25 if he didn't break his leg.
Beasley had 967 in 2020. So, but yeah, so just kind of interesting there. Sabres question, kind of another thing here. So, how many players in Sabres history average more than a point per game in their Sabres career?
In their Sabres career?
In their Sabres career.
Like just number of players all time that's happened.
Yeah, how many players in Sabres history average a point per game or higher?
All right.
Just with the Sabres.
I feel like this is a high number, but I also don't.
I'm gonna go 5.
I'm gonna go 11.
It is 9.
Really?
Can you tell me who's the top of the list?
Well,
bonus trivia.
Well, probably LaFontaine.
It is Pat LaFontaine.
It is McGillney's probably on there.
Pat LaFontaine's number 1 at 1.44.
Okay,
McGillney's 2 at 1.17.
Is
Dale Howardchuk at 1.13. Gilbert Perreault at 1.11.
Phil Housley on the list?
Rene Robert, 1.05. Danny Briere, 1.02. Rich Martin, 102. Pierre Turgeon at 1. And this is kind of cheesy, but Francois Lacombe played in one game and had an assist, so that technically counts. He played in one game for the Sabres in 1970.
Oh my God!
Wow,
that technically counts as a point per game in his Sabres career.
What a scam!
That was a good one. Wow.
So 9 guys, 9 players total. Danny, who just missed? Danny Gare is at like 0.99. Dave Anderchuk 0.96. Jack Eichel 0.95. Tuck's at 0.93.
Oh wow.
Housley 0.92. So like
I thought Housley was on that list.
So Housley had 558 and 608. So
one of the best Sabres coaches of all time.
Bill Housley was a great assistant coach. I mean, he showed that in Nashville. He just was not the head coach.
What do you got? What category are we in for the
We got a Bandits question.
All right.
Final question. How many playoff appearances do the Bandits have?
Playoff appearances total. I'm gonna
say 20. I'm 20.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna go 20.
I'm gonna go first answer. I'm going 25 on this one.
No, 25 is way too much. They've been together like 33 years, I want to say.
It's 22 appearances.
Right in the middle.
So
well, not technically.
Technically, you're closer. Yes. What am I supposed to say? 22 and a half playoff appearance?
Half a playoff appearance.
Yeah, half a playoff appearance.
So technically, you're right. You're kind of right halfway through this season. They're in the playoffs. So,
yep, 22. So a lot of numbers today, but it's all right.
Yeah, I mean, hey, some good questions though. But without further ado, that's going to end it for this edition of the Buffalonian Podcast. I'm Joe Callie. I was joined by Dom Loss and Mike Marino. And Dom, how do you always end these?
Go Bills, baby.
Go Bills.
Go Sabres.